Well, it's time for movie reviews. This is Pure 24/7 Radio, and I'm Nathan Thomas, joined as you always by the one and only Andy Godfrey. Hi, Andy, how are you?
Hey Nathan, it looks like you've had a really good week. I know you were busy yesterday interviewing Christians against poverty. Is that right?
That's right. We were at their base in Bradford. They have multiple, I think, around the UK and
Yeah,
even around the world, I think. But we were
yeah,
in their Bradford base, interviewed, I think, well over a dozen different people
yeah.
there, all members of staff, and some of which actually had experienced the help of Christians Against Poverty. It's just amazing.
It's a great organization, I know. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
great fun.
Brilliant. Okay.
It's good to see you
Well,
again.
it's good to see you. We've got some things to talk about.
We
Uh,
have.
Having had a week where I didn't go to the cinema at all and was suffering from cold turkey as a result. And then a week last week where I think I saw two films. I've actually seen four this week. So,
Wow,
and it's a big week at the cinema.
it certainly is.
It really is. So a few years ago, we had the Oppenheimer Barbie Day, or the Oppen Barbie, or whatever it was called, Barbieheimer, where Barbie and Oppenheimer both came out on the same day, and many of us did actually go and sit through both of them on the same day. Barbie was rubbish, Oppenheimer was great. But this week we had two films released on the same day, although one of them did get some select showings a bit earlier on. But we've got two big films really to talk about: Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and Lilo and Stitch, which is the latest from Disney, the latest of their live action films. So, if you like, we can talk about Mission Impossible first.
Yeah, sure. Let's start with that one.
Okay, so a little bit of history. In 1966, long before you were born, and when I was only 4 years old, a television show came on the air in America called Mission Impossible. It was about the Mission Impossible Force, the IMF, and we assumed, it was never stated clearly, but we assumed they were a branch of the American government who each week were given a mission that seemed impossible to do. Okay, this was they were specialists in computers, they were specialists in counterterrorism, they were specialists in assassination, they were specialists in defusing bomb, that kind of thing. Okay, there was this team called the Impossible for the IMF, the Impossible Missions Force team. Okay, now the series ran for 7 years, and there were two things that were really distinctive about dozens and dozens, hundreds of episodes. So the two things that were distinctive about the TV show, it was the first TV show ever where over the opening credits, you actually got to see scenes that were coming up in the show. So, you know, coming this week and actually over the opening credits, you got to see scenes from the show. The second thing was that it had one of the greatest and most famous TV tunes ever composed by a guy called Lalo Schifrin, who was a prolific film composer. But he composed the theme music for this, and the Mission Impossible theme is just iconic now. Everybody knows it. I'm not going to attempt to hum it, but everybody knows it. Okay, so that came to an end after 7 years, starting in 1966, and then in 1966, Tom Cruise and a few other people decided that they would resurrect this TV series and turn it into a film. Now, obviously, because of the advancement in technology and so on, the stakes are much higher now for the IMF. The original team did not have mobile phones. They did not have laptops. They did not have, because as we're talking 1966, they did not have the internet. So Tom Cruise decided to update this. And the first Mission Impossible film of eight came out in 1996, and it was a massive hit. I mean, I was watching it again the other night in preparation for this. There's some great set pieces. There's a scene, for example, where Tom is on top of a train and he's being chased by a guy in a helicopter. And the train goes into a tunnel and the helicopter comes into the tunnel as well. And it's an incredibly exciting action sequence. And these 8 films, have become known for their action sequences. And Tom Cruise famously does all his own stunts, or as many of them as they will let him do. We know this from Top Gun. But the Mission Impossible is kind of like a super version of James Bond, basically. Is the character that Tom plays, Ethan Hunt. So in the last film, which was called Dead Reckoning Part One, an AI entity had come into existence that was threatening to take over the internet and threatening to take over the world. Bad guys had created this entity the control of it, and it was threatening. It was sending out orders as if they were genuine. So, for example, it managed to sink a Russian submarine. It managed to even threaten nuclear war. And the IMF team are tasked with getting hold of this entity and destroying it. Basically, the last film finished on a cliffhanger where they hadn't quite destroyed it, but they roughly knew how they were going to go about it. So the new film opens where the last one left off. It's out this week, and rather surprisingly, it's not called Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2. It's called Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and we are reliably informed that this will be the final ever Mission Impossible film. However, they have left the ending fairly open. And I think if this is a success, which it will be, there may be some more to come. We'll see. We'll see. So Tom Cruise plays Ethan Hunt, the head of the Impossible Missions Force team. Simon Pegg is his computer expert. He's got all the other people around him. They are chasing an entity, an AI computer entity that is slowly gaining consciousness. It has now developed its own consciousness and is taking over the world and now has control of the world's nuclear armament. Okay, the British armament, the Russian armament, the American armament are all falling under control of this malevolent AI entity that is bent on world domination. Tom has to stop it. There are some very, very exciting scenes in this film. There's one scene set underwater. I mentioned that in the last film, we saw a submarine sink. Tom has to go down to this submarine to retrieve something. I'm trying not to give away plot spoilers because a lot of people are going to want to see this. There is an elongated sequence set underwater. Now, I know that Tom's going to survive. I know that because I've seen the trailer and scenes in the trailer had not yet appeared by this point in the film. So I know Tom's going to survive. But he's underwater. He's running out of breath. His oxygen tank's running low. The water's frozen because we're in the Arctic. There's an ice covering the water. How is he going to get out? It is genuinely, despite the fact I know he's going to survive, it is genuinely tense. I mean, I genuinely was on the edge of my seat thinking, how are you going to get out of this one? So that's a really good sequence. There is a scene which is in the trailer where Tom and another guy are in biplanes, old-fashioned biplanes. So we saw him in a jet in Top Gun. They're in old-fashioned biplanes having a fight in the air. Tom is hanging onto the wing. He's hanging onto the wheels. He's trying to gain control. He's trying to check the pilot out so that he can get into the pilot seat. That is an elongated sequence, and it's breathtaking. It really is good. It's amazingly shot, and it makes it worth seeing on the big screen. So, this is the 8th film, as I said, in the series. For me, not the best. I think it's a little bit too slightly predictable, even though there are these great action sequences and there's this great tense sequence set underwater. I think it's slightly predictable. I think it is slightly inevitable, the conclusion of the film. But these films are just presenting us with cracking entertainment. And what more do you want? You want Tom Cruise and another guy fighting in a biplane 40,000 feet up in the air. You want Tom Cruise to be in a sinking submarine, with his oxygen running out, wondering how the heck is he going to get out of this? You want bombs going off. You want car chase. We want all this stuff, and it just presents it. And it is really, really, really entertaining. It's a 12A certificate, which again, I was pleasantly surprised because I wondered if they might have gone for a 15 in order to up the ante and up the action and up the gore a little bit. No. It's a 12A certificate. I thought it was really, really, really exciting, brilliant. It will be one of the biggest films of this year. I thought it was exciting. I thought it was thrilling. Not for me the best of the series. For me, the best of the series is the 5th film in the sequence, which says there are 8. But really, really good. And they've kept the music, which is great. We still get that famous Mission Impossible theme. We still get an opening credit sequence with highlights from the film coming up. So they've kept that tradition as well. And generally speaking, I mean, Tom Cruise is not getting any younger, but man alive, does he look good? And I just thought there's a lot of computer stuff in there. There's a lot of technical stuff. There's a lot of stuff about nuclear warfare, and we meet the president of America, who's having a dilemma: does she launch a nuclear strike first, and whatever? And then somebody says to her, "Well, if you're going to launch a nuclear strike first to try and defeat this AI, we better blow up one of our own cities, just to show that we are, being fair to the world." It gets very complicated. It gets very political. It is, but it is very, very good. They travel around the world. I mean, I was led awake worrying about this because, who pays their expenses? I'm not quite sure. I mean, one minute they're in the Arctic, and literally the next minute they're in South Africa, and the next minute they're in London. And I was thinking, who pays for the coffees? And they're always wearing new clothes that fit beautifully, and doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Who cares? This is action adventure. This is high quality entertainment. This is outdoing Bond. Absolutely. Several of the Mission Impossible films have been much better than some of the Bond films. Outdoing Bond, beating Bond at his own game. Will it be the last one in the series? We are told it is, but given the fact it's going to be a massive hit, and given the ending, which is very open, we'll see.
Mm.
So that's a big film, Nathan, that's out.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
brilliant.
guys have ever played any TV music, but the Mission Impossible theme, wow, it's brilliant.
We do have it, and we have, I believe Peter uses it as his bed for the a particular feature. He uses it to
Okay.
sort of introduce that
Oh,
feature
that's right. He
on his
does. Yeah.
show.
I'd forgotten that. He does actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
it's a as you say, iconic, so iconic, probably one of the most well known.
oh, it's brilliant. It's a fantastic piece of music. And
They've sort of enhanced it and expanded it over the years,
yeah,
haven't they? Incorporating it
yeah,
into the
yeah,
newer
yeah,
the
yeah.
films. And as you say, I suppose this new one, it's just all the spectacle and the action and the traveling all over the world that you expect in any Mission
It's all
Impossible.
there. There is a line where somebody says to Tom Cruise, "The fate of the entire world is in your hands." And, this is what's at stake. You go, right, come on then, Tom, and you just know that Tom's going to save the day.
Like deja
But
vu.
it's not so much the end result, it's watching the journey that
Yeah,
gets there, including a journey on these biplanes, as I say, how they film that, I'm not quite sure. I mean, there must be some CGI, but it looks real enough. And I know there was a lot of real stunt work done
yeah,
on these planes. So, yeah. But as you say, the music is so iconic. It's just, oh. I
yeah.
collect film soundtracks, and I have most of the Mission Impossible. So I actually have a soundtrack from the TV series with the theme on for the original theme. And Lalo Schifrin, who composed it, was a prolific film composer. Composed music for a great war movie, a favorite of mine called Kelly's Heroes, and a few other great films. Composed music for some of the Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry films back in the 70s. Very, very prolific composer indeed, Lalo Schifrin. And definitely, but worth seeing. Yeah, if you like your action, if you like your adventure, you're going to see Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Um, the other film out on the same day. So you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about Snow White,
Yes.
the Disney live action, and you watched the original animated film, and you were saying how much you enjoyed it. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen the 2002 film Lilo and Stitch. Okay, so 2002, Disney bring out a film called Lilo and Stitch. We are on an alien planet, and a scientist is being brought before a court of law because he has created a malevolent creature that is nothing but destructive. It looks like a little cuddly blue teddy bear, but in fact, he is a very destructive being that just brings havoc and chaos. And the scientist is saying we could use this guy as a weapon against our enemies. But the court are saying, no, 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 we've got to get rid of this creature's too dangerous to have running around on our planet. It's a tiny little blue, cuddly little thing, too dangerous to have on our planet. We're going to exile him. The creature realizes what's going on, steals a spaceship. Long story short, crash lands on Earth, crash lands in Hawaii, where he is befriended by a little girl called Lilo. Now, we've got two stories running parallel here. We've got an alien creature who is destructive and being rejected and nobody wants, and they just want to get rid of him. The little girl is an orphan. She's been brought up by her big sister. She's a bit of a destructive force as well. She's friendless. She's teased by other kids. We first see her dropping sandwiches in the ocean to feed the fish. Um, but she is a very destructive influence. She gets bullied, and she's friendless. And one day she prays to God for a friend. Please send me an angel. Please send me the best angel you have. She actually says, and this alien creature turns up, who causes chaos. I mean, he literally brings chaos in his wake. At the same time, two other aliens have been dispatched from the planet in question to try and recapture him. Okay. So that's the basic plot. You've got an alien creature running around loose on Earth, a destructive, mischievous alien creature running around, befriending a little girl who is also mischievous and naughty and friendless. Two of them come together, they form a friendship, a bit like E.T., I guess. But this was the basic plot. So, and then you've got two aliens who've been dispatched from the alien planet to bring the alien back. That's the story. The original film in 2002 was a big hit. It was a big hit for Disney. And in fact, it spawned, I think, three sequels that went straight to video and a short-lived TV series as well. So, Lilo and Stitch, well-established Disney franchise, okay? We now have the new live-action film, and I'm pleased to report that for once, a Disney remake, a Disney live action film is actually very, very good. My daughter Amy went to see the first screening of it that she could get to in Jersey. I think I mentioned before, Amy's, in my opinion, is a Disney expert. She is my go-to person on Disney. There isn't anything about Disney Amy doesn't know. And she went to see it and I got a message and she said, Dad, I really loved it. And she posted a review in which she said that there was one thing she didn't like, but she did like the fact that a lot of the minor characters from the film had now come to the fore. The film is 20 minutes longer. The live action film is 20 minutes longer than the original. Now, I think it's too long, but what that does do is it gives some of the minor characters room for development. We get to know some of the minor characters from the original film a little bit better. Okay. So Amy really loved it, and she said, "Dad, this is a really good. This is not Snow White. This is Aladdin. This is the Jungle Book. Some of the better live action films." And I really thought she didn't actually mention those two, but you know what I mean. She's saying it's very good. So I thought it was very entertaining. There was a lot of young children in the screening I went into, and I thought, oh, here we go. You know, there's going to be noise and shouting out and whatever. You know. Actually, I have to say the kids were really, really well behaved. And when I looked round, because I planted myself fairly near the front, because I didn't want to be at the back where these kids were sitting. When I looked around, they were actually gripped to the screen. Stay for the end credits. The end credits, there's some lovely stuff in the end credits. There's a lot of Elvis in this. We're obviously on Hawaii. So Elvis made a film called Blue Hawaii. We get a lot of songs from the soundtrack of Blue Hawaii. Including Jailhouse Rock and a few others. The soundtrack's really good. The animation is, as you would expect, of the alien creatures, top class. The live action performances are great. I mean, they really capture the essence of the cartoon. I didn't think it was quite as good because of the zany nature of the story, because of the zany nature of Stitch, the alien. I think it works better in the animated version. But this works, and it's half term coming up, and half term will mean families perhaps wanting to go to the cinema, especially if the weather's not so good, because they're talking about the weather turning for the bank holiday weekend. So go see this. Go see this. Go see I would recommend it without hesitation. I know Amy would. I think Amy's going to see it again, and enjoy it. You know, if you've not seen the original, I think you will really, really, really enjoy this. If you have seen the original, I think you will enjoy this. You know, one or two little reservations, as I say, it's too long, but on the whole, it's a very, very entertaining family film. And how nice for us here on Pure on these reviews to be able to talk about a U certificate film that we can wholeheartedly recommend families to go and see. There's a lot of humour, there's a lot of slapstick humour, there's a bit of heart tugging at the strings because I say that Lilo herself is an orphan. But on the whole, It's a very enjoyable, very well done film that doesn't take away anything from the original, but just adds a little bit. What it adds is quite nice, even though it's too long, because some of the background characters come to the fore. Great soundtrack, as I say. Elvis, anything that's got Elvis on the soundtrack, I'm going to be more than happy with. So really, really enjoyable. So two good films, one a 12A and one a U at the cinema, and thoroughly enjoyable. So those are the big cinema releases.
Excellent.
I did just want to mention one other film that I've seen at the cinema, if
Yeah,
that's okay.
sure.
Sure. Now we've gone from a U to a 12A. Oh, we've gone from a 12A Mission Impossible to a U Lilo and Stitch. I wanted to mention a 15 film. There's 15 for tension and bad language. Okay, but so this is a film called Hallow Drive. Now I was at an event in London this week where my friend, the film critic Mark Commode, was hosting an event, and he interviewed the director of this film that we're going to talk about. So Hallow Drive is an 80-minute film. We start off in a London home. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. The camera scouts around the kitchen and the dining room, and there are the remains of an uneaten meal in the dining room. We then scoot. All of this is about the first 10 minutes with no dialogue at all. We then scoot into the bedroom where we see the wife, played by Rosamund Pike, asleep in bed. Her husband is asleep at his desk in his office. Okay, 2 o'clock in the morning. Clearly, there's been some sort of issue because the meal is uneaten and he's in his office and she's in the bed. The phone rings. It's their daughter, Alice. First thing Alice says is, "I'm sorry I stormed out earlier, so hence the uneaten meal." Okay. And "I'm sorry I nicked Dad's car." Okay. And Alice has stormed out of the family home and she's driven 30 miles back to where her boyfriend is, having told Mum and Dad, "I'm pregnant." But Alice is distressed on the phone. She says, "Mum, I'm driving through some woods." Remember, this is 2 o'clock in the morning. And she says, "A young girl has just run out in front of the car and I've hit her and I think I've killed her. Can you come and get me? Can you come and help?" Turns out Mum's a paramedic. So Mum and Dad get in the car, set the sat-nav, and the sat-nav becomes a key player in this, and start driving to meet their daughter who's run over this girl. The rest of the film, I'm not exaggerating this, the rest of the film is Mum and Dad in the car talking to their daughter on the phone. That's it. That's it. Okay. But what happens with the daughter is the mystery and the intrigue, and we go into a very, very dark place in the Twilight Zone, basically, on this film. The whole film, Mum, Dad in the car on a mobile phone, following the sat nav, and occasionally we get information from the sat nav, talking to their daughter on the phone. We never see the daughter. We never see the other voices that do appear on the phone. That's it. That's it. And yet it is absolutely gripping because it kind of goes into a fantasy element. Okay. And I desperately want to say more, but I desperately don't want to say anymore. It kind of goes into a fantasy element. I genuinely was on the edge of my seat throughout the whole film. Mark Commode, the film critic who interviewed the director, loved it. My friend Bob Mann, who's a film reviewer, gave it 8 out of 10. Another friend of mine gave it 4.5 out of 5. I gave it 10 out of 10. It is just unbelievably gripping. And the way it's filmed puts you creates an uneasy feeling. So when you see the car from the outside, they filmed it normally. They filmed it on 35mm with the usual sort of Cineworld cameras. The scenes inside the car, and the bulk of the film takes place inside the car, just two people on a mobile phone. They use handheld video cameras. So you get a totally different feel. And I felt uneasy watching it. And I wondered, how have you filmed this? Because there's something different about the scenes vary. You know, the screen almost looks different. It feels different. And then I saw as I say, I was at an event where the director was being interviewed, and he said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "We use different cameras for inside the car to the cameras we use outside the car." Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys play mum and dad. They are absolutely sensational in this. But I have never seen a film. I was racking my brains. I have never seen a film with just two people sitting in a car for the whole film and being so gripped. It is absolute. It's called Hallow Road. There's a clue in that. There's a clue in the date on which this takes place. But as I say, it's for 15 certificate for language. But honest to goodness, wow. So a few weeks ago, we were talking about Warfare, this film about Iranian soldiers, and based on the memories of Iranians of soldiers in America, American soldiers in Iran during the war. And I said that was my film of the year. This is my joint film of the year. I loved it. So the other film I saw at the cinema was a film that we don't need to worry about, and I would tell people to avoid it at all costs. It was called Hurry Up Tomorrow, basically about a pop fan obsessed with a pop star. And it wasn't very good. The music was terrible. Well, I thought it was terrible, but then I'm an old grumpy man. Uh, Hurry Up Tomorrow was awful. But so there you go. So for children and families, U certificate, Lilo and Stitch. For people who like action, Mission Impossible with all the action and scope and adventure and excitement and you could want. And for those of us who like things a little bit darker and a little bit creepier, Hallow Road, which is very, very good. Those are my films of the cinema.
Brilliant. So yeah, a couple of big films. You've got Lilo and Stitch, and of course the long-awaited, much anticipated next Mission Impossible, which
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing. It left it on a cliffhanger, as you say in the previous one. So look forward to seeing how that
Yeah, let
ends.
me know when you go and see it, Nathan, and we'll get your review.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. I think we'll have to wrap it up there. But thank you so much, Andy, for these great
My
reviews.
pleasure.
Do let us know how you get on with these films. Maybe you
Sure.
agree with Andy Godfrey's thoughts, or maybe you have a difference of opinion. I like that one about Hallow. Was it Hallow Drive?
It's called Hello Drive. It
Sounds very
is
interesting.
very, very, very different.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's the most different film I have seen, I think, in several. I mean, I haven't seen a film like it, truth be told. And I saw my friend Mark Commode review it before I saw it, and he was saying just go and see it. And it's one of those films as a parent during the opening 20 minutes when this stuff's going on about mum, I've hit somebody and can you help me? I was sat there. Mark said when he was watching it, he had to keep reminding himself, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's only a movie. And I sent Mark a text after I'd seen it, and I said, Mark, you're absolutely right. I had to keep telling myself, it's only a movie. It's only because it is so realistically well done. It's so beautifully acted. The girl on the phone, we never see her, the daughter, but she's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And I was sat, and Mark's actually right. I sat there thinking, yeah, it's only a movie. Come on, Godfrey, don't panic. It's only a movie because it is so realistically well done. Brilliant,
Yeah.
really good.
Fantastic. Well, I've seen a couple of, I think, one or two other films where most of the scenes are shot within the car. I think there was one with
Right.
Paul Walker. Was it Vehicle 13 or Vehicle 19? And it was
Yes.
basically most of the camera time, the camera is inside the car.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a certain mystery. You're not sure exactly what's going on. I guess it's similar to that, isn't it?
It's very similar. And I was thinking of Jewel, where a Steven Spielberg film where a guy is terror and his car is terrorized by a juggernaut, basically keeps chasing him down the road. I mean, there have been a couple, but this is, I mean, we've got another film that'll be set in cars coming up shortly called F1, which is about Formula One, and it's by the director of Top Gun Maverick. So he put us in jets in Top Gun Maverick. He's going to put us in Formula One cars. That's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, so we'll be talking about that. Um, so, but this film is just so, and I mean, it is genuinely creepy. And I came out and I was still thinking about it. I was thinking about it hours later, and I just sent Mark Commode a text, and he just replied by saying, "Yeah, absolutely." And then when I saw the director being interviewed on um, on Monday night at the British Film Institute and talking about the different approach to filming different scenes to try and create this feeling of unease and also this feeling of intimacy when you're in the car. But there are things like, for example, the sat nav gives away some clues, believe it or not. and the sat nav reflects in her glasses, that kind of thing. So it's very well done. And kudos to the cameraman, and the editor as well, because it kind of plays out. It's only 80 minutes long. I mean, it's only an hour and 10 minutes long. And yeah, I felt and so you live the whole journey with them. You are there literally from the moment they get in the car to when they get out, and what happens. And I just thought this is great. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Really good week at the cinema.
A very good week. And yeah, thank you so much, Andy. It's been a pleasure speaking as always. I hope you have a fantastic bank holiday weekend.
Thank you guys. Some good films on TV, so look out for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nathan. God bless you, and God bless everybody listening. God bless Pure.
Here at Pure 24/7 Radio, we have had the privilege of speaking to some amazing people with amazing stories.
Now, what about, I thought I'd go a bit further, what about goat and sheep's milk?
Yes.
Becoming quite popular. Very similar to cow's milk. So we don't use it in the first year of life, you can afterwards. And their nutrient profiles, how good they are, is pretty similar to cow's milk. Allergenicity, how often do they cause allergies? About the same. They're a bit more expensive sometimes. Yeah, it's pretty equivalent.
Yeah, we're really excited, especially excited for Josh because it's his first book and he's really passionate with that Gen. Do you say Gen Z or Gen Z? I've heard it said in.
I don't know. I'm too old. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not in that age category, so we've not got a clue what they're called.
It's a pot boiler. It's a good, exciting popcorn thriller. I didn't think it was anything too special, but I think watching it at home, people will probably enjoy it more than I did going to the cinema to see it. Really good film. I love it. I walk into a cinema and I turn my phone off. Nobody can get hold of me for a couple of hours. I'm in a completely other world. Every single time I go to the cinema, and for me, it's like going to Oz. It's like going to another world and escaping and relaxing, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
If you have missed any of these interviews or would like to hear them again, you can. Simply head over to our catch-up section at www.pure247radio.org. That's www.pure247radio.org.